This is Meego netbook. This is the Meego netbook. Right? I'm just showing how it gets where it gets installed. We'll show how to make it, but this is where it gets installed on the Meego netbook.
Installing what?
Installed on the netbook.
Encapsulator.
So once you get your package, well, we'll have to go through the creation of the package. We'll just go through it.
Yes.
So it gets installed here, and you can see the simple app. But before that, let's show them how to create the app.
So this is sort of the end product running on the, showing up on the device,
The application.
right?
Right.
Okay. Want to flip back?
Right.
So what we're going to do here is we're going to walk you through really quickly what the actual web tool looks like.
So Andy is going to show us where the directory where the index.html and the icon.ping are located.
So this is the simple app that Ujjwal was just talking about.
Right.
You want to run through that?
Right, I'm going to run through this. So you have you can see the index.html and icon.ping, and there is another image file which I embed in the index.html. Okay, so Andy is going to zip it up. So this is the process of uploading your web content to Encapsulator. Right, and once he zips it up, will take us to, hopefully the network works and we should be able to upload it to our beta version of the Encapsulator. Okay, I'll just enter the required stuff and Andy's going to go over the fields.
So this is a good time to stop using the network. So please turn off your Wi-Fi connection, stop tweeting, stop watching YouTube videos. All right, so while Ujjwal fills in the form, this is actually Encapsulator. You can note the URL up on the top of the browser there. If you Google Appup Encapsulator beta, you'll be able to find this site. Don't do it now. Wait until after the demo. So on the left-hand side, what Ujjwal's doing is he's filling in some basic information about your app. The organization name, the app name, a version number, the name of the app's executable binary that gets installed to the device. And then finally, he'll select a zip file. Okay? And the zip file is that thing that we just referred to that includes at least an index.html and an icon.ping file.
Now, this zip file can be under, say, any directory such as
Yes.
C. Is that right?
Yes,
That
that's right.
zip file, the files and the zip file can be anywhere on your PC
Okay.
that you want, because you're going to select it with that choose file button. So this is a really standard web form. There's nothing magical about this part of the process. Okay. Now on the right-hand side, just before we click Make, there's a couple of fields that are related specifically to the Appup Center settings, and those are the GUIDs for Meego and for Windows. And so the main thing that I want to tell you here is that you can build an app as many times as you like, and you don't have to use these GUID files while you're just test driving the system and playing with your apps and debugging your apps. In fact, you want to keep these blank so that you can get the web inspector and the debug tools. Okay? When you're ready to submit your app to Appup, come back to the tool, regenerate it with GUIDs. Okay? And that will take away the web inspector so users won't get lost sniffing through your source code and whatnot. Okay?
Stand for what? GUID stand for what?
Globally unique identifier. It's just a really long unique number.
Unified.
It's just a unique ID
Oh, unique.
for your app that ties it to the Appup Center.
It's global to the operating system. That's what global means in this context.
And that
It's unique for your app and for Appup.
that is given by
What we do with these GUIDs under the hood is we use them to authorize the app on the end user's machine with the Appup Center. So when an end user buys your app, right, you have these GUIDs, the app actually authorizes itself. Am I allowed to run on this end user's device? And those APIs that we call on behalf of the app developer then tell it yes or no. And basically this prevents Joey from giving grandma your app for free. Okay? In a simplistic.
That GUID is generated by
This-
Meego Web Center. Is that right?
Yes, that GUID is something that you can get. See, there's a little ID button
Right there.
over there on the right.
Yeah.
When you're ready to submit, you can click on that button and find out more about how to get a GUID for your app.
Copy the ID there.
Again, you copy and paste. There's some help in here all about that. You can copy and paste the GUIDs and generate your app. Okay. I can go into a lot of detail offline about GUIDs and all of that process. We'll do that after.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a few additional app settings that you can set. The window size for your app, and you can set whether or not you want the end user to be able to resize your app's window. Now, this is especially relevant for for Meego Netbook apps. Tablet apps are a little different. They always occupy the full screen when they run. So you want to consider that when you're designing your web code to avoid popping up lots of windows. Just use your web code and dialogues in a way such that it's all kind of embedded in the UI. It doesn't send the user every which way.
How do I do the automatic sizing for the full screen?
There is a blog post on that. I can tell you later. Actually, it's not a blog post, it's a comment on one of our forums. I can point you to that. There's some JavaScript code that you can use to size the window, full screen it, and all of that fun stuff. All right, let's go ahead and make it.
Okay.
All right, so it's uploading it into the matrix right now, uploading it to our web services. Oh, good, everybody did listen and didn't ruin our network for us. So what we see on this screen, what happened was as Encapsulator UI switched from the Make Your App tab over to the Check Status and Download tab. And what you see in this view is a list of jobs that have been run on our back end that Ujjwal and I basically made in yesterday's session and today. The one on the bottom that has a little gear is a job that's in process, so it's currently being built up there in the cloud. The ones with check marks are already done. Okay? Usually it takes about a minute or so to complete. It all depends on how busy the system is on our encapsulator backend.
Right. And then you should see the RPM package and a link to download. There you go.
Okay, great. So in this case, we just completed that app in terms of the build. There's our Meego RPM right there, the Ujjwal, and I'm just going to block this one out. So that's, the RPM is the important one for this discussion. So important things here. That RPM package is ready to submit to Appup. It's also a Meego compliant app. And the thing on the bottom says downloads expire. So we basically keep this package around for 24 hours and then we delete it from the system. Okay, so we're not storing and keeping your code and your app hanging around. We're basically a tool. We do something, we build something for you, and then it's up to you to download it. So if you get coffee, if you click make, get coffee, and come back 25 hours later, it's going to be gone. So don't get mad at us about that. Okay? But the good news is you can just regenerate it. Right? So it's not a source code repository, anything like that. It's build it, download it, and then decide what you want to do with it after that. Okay?
So actually, after you download the RPM package, you can install it on your netbook, Meego netbook, and you would see your app in the accessories tab. And you can launch it from there. And that's what we saw just now.
So we want to go ahead and run it now, right?
Sure.
Let's see what it looks like. Okay. We kind of got ahead of ourselves earlier.
So this is what the Hello app actually is about. It embeds an image and it displays the date and time. I launched it from, you can see this here, accessories, under accessories is the icon. This was the icon.png, right? This created an icon for my app and I just launched it from there. This users would launch it from there. Okay. So we have seen a simple app for Meego, right? From start to finish in just a few minutes. How simple can it get, right?
So is that on the web now?
Well, this is on your netbook.
On my net?
So you saw the RPM package and you could download it. I pre-installed it, so you could take the RPM and install it on your netbook, on your Meego netbook, basically.
To save time, we just installed the app on the netbook ourselves, rather than run you through the intricacies of typing RPM dash blah 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 so-and-so RPM file. But that's what you would do. Once you downloaded your RPM file from Encapsulator, you would copy it over to your Meego device, go to a terminal and install it, and then test it, right?
Or through the Appup client.
Yeah, so the end user experience, of course, is different from the developer experience. The end user experience is they find your app through the Appup client, and the Appup client does the installation and upgrade and removal, right? So that's a little bit different process than what we're really showing here. This one's focused on the app developer, okay? Build and debug time. Does that make sense?
The Appup client is like a distribution service, like an app store?
Exactly. Yeah, the Appup client is Intel's Appup Center, and it is the distribution pipe for all of the apps. So hopefully the apps that you build with Encapsulator and then submit to Appup.
Do you have an approval process?
Sorry, say that again?
Do you have an approval process that takes months?
Yes, yes. The Appup Center, when you submit your app, it goes through a validation process where we look at it and make sure it doesn't blow up. And also we have some technical folks who try to help developers along with the process and support them. There's also a really interesting process called the beta process. Probably butchering the exact terminology, but there's a beta process where the app developer can submit it to beta and have people test it in beta. And the neat thing about that is that allows you to test it kind of from an end user perspective, coming through the client and so forth. So I encourage you all to use those features.
Okay, so we have seen a very simple app. This app is not going to get us money or make us famous. So let's look at Andy's what I call show me the money app.
Let's flip back. Here we are. All right, let's do this again. So in this app, we have the familiar index.html and icon.ping file, the same thing Ujjwal had with his simple app. But in this case, I do a few more things. I take jQuery and jQuery UI libraries, the popular JavaScript libraries from the web, and I actually package those into my app. So they go into the zip file, all right? I'll show you that in a second. We also embed some YouTube content, a Facebook and a Twitter button, and we also embed a Twitter search widget, okay? And all of the stuff that we embed is not rocket science, it's not special really to this app. It's something that you could all go out and use from the Facebook developer site and Twitter sites and the YouTube site. They have all of that well documented. So it isn't some magic that we came up with for this show. All right, let's flip over to the file system. All right, in this directory, I'm just going to change modes here. Okay, so we have two directories here, a CSS and a JS directory. Those are directory structures that include the jQuery UI stuff. So when you go to jQuery UI, you can download a whole bundle of jQuery UI code with the theme and the CSS and all of the images specific to the thing that you want, you know, the look and feel that you wanted. Okay, so I have all of those packaged in here. All right, see there's my jQuery UI JavaScript. And inside my CSS, right, got an images directory. You can see there's a whole directory structure here. And all of that gets zipped up with the app package. Okay, there's our icon and our index.html. Let's take a look at the code. So this index.html, at the very top here, I pull in my CSS. So the main thing to look at is how I reference that CSS. This is a relative path, okay? And this is how the hybrid app wrapper knows to get code from whatever you provided in the zip file versus getting it somewhere else on the web, okay? And that's important because, you know, you want it, you know, if you package up a bunch of images and JavaScript stuff in the zip file, you want it to come from there on the device. That's, of course, installed on the device with your app. Here's some script tags, again, pulling from relative paths. Okay. Let's just quickly scroll down here. I have, this is a jQuery tab setup, tab control setup. Okay, so I have a funny video tab and a funny social tab that I've built up. Here's our YouTube video embed. Okay. Here's our tweet button. So in this case, see this script tag? If you look at the source attribute on there, you can see that in this case, I'm actually pulling it from the web. Okay, and that's an important distinction from pulling it from the local JavaScript code. All right. Now, all of this should be fairly unremarkable. It shouldn't look like anything different from the web code you might develop yourself and host on the web. Okay? And that's really part of the point, is that this is really straightforward stuff. And it's really easy to bundle this and get it working in an app. Here's our Facebook like button, really quick. Here's my social tab and my Twitter search widget. Okay? All right. Let's flip over to the device.
Okay. Again, the app is installed, there are accessories, and you can see the icon is different. It's Andy's mashup app. I'm just going to launch it.
There we go. So the network is alive and well. All right, there we go. So we can see the YouTube content that I pulled in. A humorous video up on YouTube with Conan O'Brien. On the bottom there, if you scroll down in the app just a tad, visual, you can see our tweet and our Facebook buttons. Go ahead and click on the tweet button.
Click on the right one.
I think you did. Oh, there you go. So let's not tweet it though. I want to keep my account nice and clean. But yeah, there you go. So this is basically a way, if you integrated Twitter into your app, because of course you want to share the content in your app out there on the web with Twitter, you can do this. And you didn't have to do anything complicated with native code. This is all fairly straightforward cut and paste web code into your app. And I think that's pretty helpful in terms of time to market. All right, let's quickly take a look at the Funny Social tab. There's our Twitter search widget. And every few seconds it will scroll and show the tweets that have all of those people. Of course, Ujjwal and I put ourselves right up there beside Conan O'Brien and The Lonely Island and others who we revere. But there you can see it. So that's kind of the idea.
Okay. So I spoke about how to use the debug menu, right? So you right click on your app. Since we didn't provide an Appup quit, we get this menu item called the inspect, and you can see your code actually working here, right? And this is the index.html code which links to your which links all your JavaScript files and stuff. The other cool thing about this web inspector is the console. This is where you can output all your debug strings, and this helped me in the past to debug all the issues I've encountered. So that's a web inspector you can use for this debugging.
So a good rule of thumb here is if you're developing your web code and you're probably testing it in something like Chrome or Firefox, you can test it and develop it in Chrome and Firefox, right, and kind of run it over and over again and edit and run it. Go ahead and build it in Encapsulator and then run it again, right, on the device, and open up the web inspector and take a look at the JavaScript console, make sure everything's working. Because that's where you'll start seeing the errors pop up. And that's where you can kind of debug it. You don't want to go too far down the path of running and developing in Chrome, and then come over here and find you have a problem in something, right? It's kind of good to do it as you go, and then if you do end up with problems, we can try and jump in and help.
All right, it's over to the
Okay, we have a message from our sponsor, or our employer. Tomorrow, one of my coworkers, Vadim Gore, he's an architect with the Appup team. He'll be presenting a session at 2:30. So I encourage you to check that out, especially if you're interested in working with the Appup